All right, I'm back for Dust CS's ongoing coverage of Fragadelphia CS2, and I'm here with David Xp3 Garrido, a veteran of the NA and French Counter-Strike scenes. So to start, obviously you were here standing in yesterday for Rain, who was unable to make it. How do you feel like you did in your first LAN since 2018?
I didn't even know it was 2018 actually. So I think I did all right. I feel like it was no different than it used to be, honestly. It's just a bit different because we've been playing Valorant in the past rather than it's more getting back into the Counter-Strike groove. But other than that, I mean, it's fun and I enjoy playing.
Yeah, if you just for back of the postcard fact there for you, your last LAN was with Ronin Esports back in 2018, around the time you were still playing MDL. Now, with that, obviously you mentioned that you just came back from Valorant back into Counter-Strike. What are your thoughts on Counter-Strike 2 as a game as someone who's played in 1.6, Source, and CSGO?
Well, I think it's going in the right direction at least. And as far as it goes, definitely there's needs some work on it. Like there's a lot of things that are like not really functioning right now in the game, and we have to deal with it, and the pro players have to deal with it also. But I feel like given more time, eventually it will get there, and hopefully. But so far, I think it's been much smoother transitioning to CS2 than it has ever been compared to any other versions before. So, and I think every player that has transitioned before would say that. So.
And with that, you made your return to Counter-Strike right before CS2 came out. And I wanted to ask you, what motivated that the sort of ex-Dignitas core to come back to CS at this time? And obviously, you came back at the same time as Emmalee and Rain, and then built a new roster. But why leave Valorant when you did?
It's a tough question. I think we all kind of miss Counter-Strike. Like that's where we all started. So that was mainly the thing. And I felt like Valorant, we kind of like went around it, and we were kind of already getting like over it, I would say. And we all kind of had the desire to play CS again, and that's kind of what we did. And we didn't expect like Counter-Strike to like come out as shortly as right after we kind of came back, but it was kind of good for us because that kind of leveled everybody back to like some kind of playing field. So that helped us kind of like cut on the gaps like a little bit faster, but we still have a lot of stuff to like catch on.
I feel like on a superficial level, a lot of people would say that Counter-Strike and Valorant are very similar games. So I want to kind of pick your brain. Like, what about Valorant didn't like scratch the CS itch for you?
I think Valorant at first was like diverse and like different, obviously, and then eventually like it kind of quickly became like redundant in a way, where like it became more so the same. And I feel like the game also needs time in that sense, where like it's brand new still, and obviously it will develop over time. But overall, like Counter Strike is just more appealing in terms of like competition and how the game is played in general, tactically, and what you can do and whatnot. So I think just overall the tactical aspect of the game is just generally more interesting in Counter Strike.
So previously, obviously, you worked with Dignitas for a long time in Counter Strike, and you're involved sort of with like the I forget what they called it back, the DreamHack showdowns, and the sort of burgeoning women's scene at the time. Comparing that and now ESL Impact to what you saw in Valorant Game Changers, do you think Game Changers was a compelling competitive product for you to compete in?
I'd say at first it was. And then franchising came along, and I feel like it was kind of becoming more difficult. And also the way Game Changers was treated, I think it was way like Riot was like way more involved for the first few, trying to put it out there, and then eventually it kind of died down, like the coverage around it and everything. So all that kind of just also makes you like wonder if you should like still compete around that, since there's not much to play for other than like Game Changer. And yeah, that's pretty much it about it.
Now, something sort of interesting about this new Karma lineup is the fact that obviously, much like your other projects, you're involved with EMUHLEET in it. And for those who don't know, you guys have been married, I believe, since 20. I mean, when have you guys been married since? What's the date?
2016, yeah.
But shouldn't you know the date? What's the date?
Date would have been October 1st.
There you go. Hopefully, I'm going to ask Emmalee the same question, and I hope not see you get in trouble. So you guys have been married now for going on 8 years, and it's very unique that you have been sort of working professionally and personally for such a long time together. What's that like, sort of having a relationship at home, but then also sort of in the workplace where you're constantly together?
Well, usually we don't really mix it. When we're in the game, it's like, she's a team member and I treat her as a player, and she makes mistakes, she gets no special treatment. So it's just pretty much been always like that since the beginning. And we always had a good dynamic working with each other. I think that's why we've like kept working with each other for that long. And overall, I think like we like see things kind of like the same way, so that helps it a lot. And I think, yeah, we have good chemistry.
Now, looking towards the ESL Impact season, we saw Karma recently add Artstar into the mix. That's obviously someone who you have experience working with previously from, I believe, Dignitas and a couple of teams before that, sort of a longtime collaborator with Rain and EMUHLEET. What decided What made you decide to sort of bring in Artstar back into the mix, despite the fact that she hadn't played CS for such a long time?
Well, I think she was trying to get back into the groove of thing also. She like joined her own team at the time when we just got back. She was like playing for Hyperion, if I remember. And she definitely had like the drive to and the will to like wanting to compete and get back into it in a more serious way. And I felt like there was a point in time where we had an opening on our team, so we just like started discussing about the potential prospects we could pick up. And Linny was one of the first ones that came up. We know what she's capable of. We know how she is, and we knew that she was going to mesh really well with the group. And I think that was the perfect addition.
Now, with this sort of reassembling of this core here, do you feel is there a feeling of like unfinished business in a team? Do you guys feel like, okay, we spent some time in Valorant, but now we have to get back to what we're doing in Counter-Strike? Do you think this team has the potential to sort of get back to being like one of the top teams in the North American women's scene?
100%. I think we can definitely get back into like the number one spot that we used, like we could have like we had in like back in 2018 and 17, I'd say. But it's a bit tougher now because obviously like we're not professionals anymore. Like we all doing stuff on the side. I have players that go to school, some of them that work full-time jobs. So we're trying to like mix both like and trying to stay professional as best as we can. That's why we come out here to get the experience and all that. And yeah, then we're gonna try as best as we can, and hopefully sometime like we can lend something that helps us like stay focused on this professional side of Counter-Strike.
Now, unfortunately, Karma was eliminated. I believe 2-0-2 losses, or believe you took a map, but irrelevant. But that's really irrelevant to the point. How would you rate this experience overall of coming back to LAN, especially keeping in mind your role as a coach for two younger players who haven't really had a lot of time on LAN?
Yeah, it's pretty much why we wanted to come here. Like you mentioned, like we have Olya. She's kind of like the rookie of our team, and she needs that experience on LAN because eventually that's what we're trying to get at, right? So all that is good for her. We hope to play more matches, obviously, but we had tough teams in our group, and they played really well. And I think we still put up a good fight against those teams, and I'm pretty sure they didn't expect us to come out and play like that against them.
And so something also interesting I saw last night as well is the fact that in your intermediate match, which you played here, you were in the server. You were in the server playing in place of Rain, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we just figured it would have been easier since we're all here right now. Might as well. And Rain has been busy, and she couldn't make to the LAN anyway, so might as well just take the time off and not make it like difficult having her play from home and like 4 of us like playing here. So we just thought it would be easier for us to just play a survivor here.
So is that the plan again for tonight?
Yeah, probably. We'll hope we can do this because it's also better in terms of like location around the East Coast right now. We have way better ping to play those games. So we're just trying to take any advantage we can because hopefully we can like advance and move up a league.
So we'll see Karma in action tonight in intermediate playoffs. Thank you so much, Xp3, for your time, and I'll let you get ready for that match.
Thank you.
Thank you.